Welcome to the Dick Anderson Construction Safety video. Today we will walk through the key safety protocols at DAC. One of the most dangerous things on the job site may be right in your pocket. Cell phones cause distractions and interruptions that can pose serious threats on the job site. Do everyone a favor and think twice about when and where you choose to use your phone. If you need to use your phone, stop what you're doing and find an appropriate and safe location. Everyone on Dick Anderson construction sites outside of an office environment or parking facility is required to be properly outfitted for the area. They must wear approved personal protective equipment, or PPE. This includes an approved hard hat, eye protection with side shields, t-shirt with a standard 4-inch sleeve, high-vis t-shirt or reflective traffic vest, durable long pants, safety-toed footwear that covers the ankle. Tennis shoes or sneakers are not approved. Standard work gloves as prescribed by job hazard analysis are required. Visitors must wear orange or blue visitor hard hats. Any other task-specific PPE required by the operation and hazard analysis, such as additional hearing protection, face shield, dual hearing protection, or a respirator, must be worn. Visitors who are missing any of the required PPE must check with the supervisor on site. A job hazard analysis, or JHA, is required prior to the start of any operation and is one of the most important tools in any accident prevention program. A job hazard analysis is a pre-work discussion where the team breaks down a specific task, identifies potential hazards for each step, and establishes safety controls to prevent accidents. All employees are encouraged to contribute ideas based on their work experience. The following factors should be incorporated into every meeting: access on the project site, pinch points, environmental working conditions, housekeeping, PPE, fall hazards and their preventive and protective systems, work actions including lifting, carrying, posture, and tool usage, overhead power lines and other utilities, subcontractor operations, protection of the public, and night operations. The job hazard analysis form will be updated after a review with the crew, anytime a hazard occurs that was not previously identified, or anytime after a near miss. Any operation that has begun without first writing and reviewing an operation-specific job hazard analysis form will be terminated until the analysis is completed and reviewed with the crew. Line-of-fire injuries are far too common and present a major hazard on the job site. The term line of fire is used to describe situations where injuries can occur by being in harm's way. Many line-of-fire injuries result from these three scenarios: caught in or between, struck by, and potential or stored energy incidents. Caught in or between scenarios are exactly what they sound like: getting caught or stuck in a dangerous situation. Look at this excavator working near a wall. An employee is standing between the excavator and the wall. This is a potential caught in or between scenario. It's important to ask yourself in every situation, what's the worst thing that could happen and where should I be if that were to happen? Next, let's talk about the struck by category. This employee is nailing off plywood. He keeps steady by gripping behind the wall with his hand. What would happen if he missed the stud with the nail gun? The nail could travel through the sheeting and hit his hand. This would be a struck by incident. Hand and body placement is crucial to avoid injury. Again, ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario here and how can I avoid it? The last type of line of fire incident is stored or potential energy. Let's look at this employee grinding a piece of metal. Without being aware of his surroundings, he doesn't realize that nearby is a can of gasoline. The sparks could ignite the fuel can, posing a serious threat. How do we avoid line of fire incidents? At DAC, we practice the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, take 20 seconds and evaluate the 20 feet around you. Ask yourself, is there anything that could go wrong here? If you see a hazard, eliminate it when you can. When elimination is not possible, engineering controls are the next best choice in protecting yourself and others from line of fire incidents. Some engineering controls that can protect you include physical barriers, guarding around moving parts, and tow boards on elevated work platforms that prevent falling objects. There are many other possible engineering controls that could be used depending on the specific hazard. The most important thing to remember is to avoid putting yourself or others in harm's way.
My name is Buddy Larivold. I'm a superintendent for Dick Anderson Construction, and I work safely to influence my coworkers because safety is contagious.
My name's Max Mader. I'm a journeyman carpenter at Dick Anderson Construction, and I work safe every day so I can make it home to my wife and kids.
Housekeeping is everyone's job. Good housekeeping does more than prevent injuries. It can save you time and improve the quality of your work. Keep your workplace clean, or as clean as the nature of the work allows. Every floor, working surface, and passageway must be kept free of debris. Keep debris away from floor openings. Hoses and electrical conductors across aisles or passageways must be covered or suspended to prevent tripping hazards. Do not create hazards with material storage. Bags, containers, bundles, construction materials, and other equipment must be stored in tiers, stacked, blocked, or interlocked. They must be limited in height so that they are stable and secure against falling, sliding, or collapsing. Free access must be maintained at all times to all exits, fire alarm boxes, fire extinguishers, and any other emergency equipment. Free access means clear of all obstruction. Common garbage and other waste must be disposed of at frequent and regular intervals. At the end of each work shift, a general cleanup of all work areas must be performed. This includes vehicles and equipment. Safety is a top concern when working at height. It's important to understand and recognize the requirements of a safe scaffold system, including stability, work platforms, proper access, fall protection, and safe use. A few rules to work by. Do not get onto any scaffold until you've been trained by a competent person. Do not get onto any scaffold until it has been inspected and approved for use on that shift by a scaffolding competent person and marked by a green tag. Do not get onto any scaffold that you deem to be unsafe. Instead, contact the site superintendent immediately. Use only approved means of access and egress to the scaffold. Never climb cross braces. Report or repair any missing or damaged guardrail component. Work only from the platform. Do not attempt to extend your reach by using the guardrail, a ladder, or any other object placed on the platform. Stay within working weight limits of the scaffolding to not overload it. Never place materials or tools near the edge of the platform. Keep the platform clear of tripping hazards. Do not carry tools and equipment up the access ladder. Across the industry, more people are injured on ladders each year than on any other piece of equipment. All personnel must be trained in ladder safety. Here's what you need to know. Ladders must be maintained in good condition at all times. Those that are defective in any way must be removed from service and red tagged until made safe for use or destroyed. Only use ladders that are designed for industrial applications. Orange and yellow ladders are the only acceptable ladders on a DAC job site. Multi-positioning ladders must be approved by the Vice President of Safety. When using a ladder, it must first be inspected by the user before each use. Straight ladders must be tied, blocked, and equipped with safety shoes, or otherwise secured to prevent displacement. Straight ladders must be used at an angle of approximately 75 degrees from the horizontal. This position can be established by placing the base of the ladder 1/4 of its working length from the vertical plane of the top support. Maintain 3 points of contact. Ladders must be used only on firm, stable bases. Ladders must not be placed on boxes, barrels, or other unstable bases to form longer sections. Always face the ladder when climbing or descending. Do not try to climb a ladder while carrying tools or other objects in your hands. Instead, climb the ladder with both hands and use a climbing bag tied to a rope to transport equipment or tools. Ladders must not be placed in front of a door unless the door is blocked open, locked, or guarded. When using a ladder to gain access to another level, it must be long enough for the top to extend 3 feet above the landing. Never use the top 2 steps of an ordinary stepladder. Stepladders should not be used as a straight ladder and must be used with legs fully extended unless designed to do so by the manufacturer. When the job is completed, always return ladders to the proper storage location.
My name is Tanner Saltzman. I'm a carpenter here at Dick Anderson Construction. I work safe because it's just something we've always done. It's the culture that Dick Anderson has, and it helps us go home and do what we love after work.
Hi, my name is Jeff Ingram. I'm a superintendent at Dick Anderson Construction, and I work safe so I can continue to hunt and fish and hang out with my wife.
Falls are one of OSHA's fatal 4 leading causes of death in the construction industry. Anytime you're working at a height of over 6 feet, you need to have fall protection. If you're unsure, ask a supervisor. Fall protection is split into 3 categories: guardrail systems, fall arrest systems, and fall restraint systems. Guardrail systems are the best method to prevent falls on a construction site. All guardrails must withstand 200 pounds of force, where the top rail is 42 inches, plus or minus 3 inches. Mid-rails must be at 21 inches with a 3.5-inch toe board. If guardrails are not feasible, then all workers must be protected from falls greater than 6 feet using fall restraint or fall arrest systems. Fall restraint systems prevent someone from reaching the edge of a potential fall. Fall arrest systems are used to stop a fall in progress. Both require a body harness, a connecting device, and an approved anchor tie-off. All harnesses need to fit snugly by tightening the straps and buckles. Connecting devices attach the wearer to the anchoring point. Most common connecting devices are rope, webbing, steel, or shock-absorbing lanyards, retractable lifelines, and rope grabs. Lanyards and lifelines must have a minimum breaking point of 5,000 pounds and must be equipped with a locking snap hook. The use of knots to connect lanyards is not permitted. All anchorage points must be capable of supporting 5,000 pounds per attached worker and must be approved by management prior to attachment. If the anchoring point cannot support 5,000 pounds or a safety factor of 2, the proposed anchoring point needs to be approved by a qualified person. Anchor points should be easily accessible and, if possible, directly above the worker in order to limit the freefall distance. Avoid tying off to an anchor at foot level, since this increases the fall distance. Personal fall protection systems must be inspected before each use for wear, damage, and other deterioration. Defective components must be removed from service. A fall protection rescue plan should be addressed prior to employees putting on their harnesses. All workers should be trained with the available rescue equipment on the job site. All fall protection rescue plans must be implemented in less than 15 minutes after a fall. Again, falls are one of the leading causes of injury and death in construction. Whenever you or someone on the job site is working over 6 feet, a guardrail, fall restraint, and/or fall arrest system must be in place. Cranes play a critical role in the construction industry. They're extremely powerful machines that can be dangerous when not operated correctly. That's why learning and practicing proper crane safety is essential. First of all, the crane must not be assembled or used unless ground conditions are firm, drained, and compacted. Assembly and disassembly must be directed by a qualified assembly/disassembly or AD director. Before assembly or disassembly operations, the AD direct must ensure that the crew members understand all of the following: their tasks, the hazards associated with their tasks, the hazardous positions/locations that they need to avoid. The employer must ensure that each operator is trained, certified/licensed, and evaluated before operating any crane. Prior to each shift using the crane operator must complete a visual inspection and identify any apparent deficiencies. This inspection must be done before the shift. If any deficiency is identified as a safety hazard, the equipment must be taken out of service until it has been corrected. All manufacturers' procedures related to the operational functions of the crane must be followed at all times. Load charts and operators' manuals must be available in the cab at all times. Never operate the crane in excess of its rated capacity. A lift plan must be completed before every pick. Know the location and voltage of all power lines on the site. Ensure the equipment, load line, and load are a sufficient distance away from the power line based on the voltage to prevent employees from entering the swing radius hazard areas. Each employee that is assigned to work on or near the crane must be trained on how to recognize struck by and pinch/crush hazards. Erect and maintain control lines, warning lines, railings, or similar barriers to mark the boundaries of the swing radius. Keep clear of all loads. You should never be underneath a suspended load. Ensure that the swing or travel path eliminates the overhead exposure to site personnel. Use tag lines and push sticks to control suspended loads. Never make a knot in a tag line. Tag lines control a suspended load's rotation and not the position of a load. Do not attempt to move a load by pushing or pulling on it. Use agreed-upon, standardized hand signals for clear communication with the operator. If there is a safety concern, anyone has the authority to call an all-stop. If you see something, say something. Rigging is the process of selecting, inspecting, and attaching slings, hooks, chains, or other hardware to a load so it can be safely lifted. A qualified rigger ensures the load is secure, balanced, and properly connected to prevent shifting, slipping, or failure during lifting and moving operations. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 60% of crane-related fatalities are due to rigging failure. Successful rigging requires a combination of proper rigging equipment and trained personnel. Whenever personnel are engaged in hooking, unhooking, or guiding the load, and when connecting a load to a component or structure within the work zone. The person designated as the qualified rigger must have the ability to properly rig the load for any lift required on that job. The main types of rigging equipment are chain, wire rope, and synthetic web slings. Rigging equipment must be inspected prior to use on each shift and as necessary during its use to ensure that it is safe. Defective rigging equipment must be removed from service. Only use certified, approved rigging hardware for any crane or lifting action. All rigging must have legible tags permanently affixed that indicate the recommended safe working load as prescribed by the manufacturer. Any rigging with damaged tags must be removed from service immediately. Do not use rigging in excess of its recommended safe working load. Ensure that rigging is used with safe working angles. Use a spreader bar instead. Never shorten rigging with knots, bolts, or other devices. Always protect rigging from sharp edges. When not in use, rigging equipment must be stored properly.
I'm Matt Metron. I'm project engineer for Dick Anderson. I work safe so I can come home to my growing family and continue the outdoor activities I love to do.
Yeah, Bob Heberly, Vice President. I manage our office here in Helena. Why I work safe, my wife, my 3 girls, I have a 13-year-old, 11-year-old, 7-year-old. I work safe because of them. I believe it's the right thing to do because I think it helps us be better on our projects. We're better planned, we work more efficiently, we're more productive, and I think in the end the quality of our work is better by us working safe.
There are several types of hazards you can encounter with power-operated tools, all of which are easy to prevent. Watch out for unguarded points of operation, electrical problems like bad cord insulation, poor connections and broken plugs, defective tools or tools needing repair. Don't wear loose clothes, jewelry, or gloves that could get caught in the machinery. Do not drop a tool or strain to lift one, which can result in physical injury. Select the right tool for the job. Don't try to make the tool do something it's not designed to do. Inspect each tool before use to make sure it's not missing anything. Check that the tool is in good working order, the saw blade is sharp, and the cord is in good condition. Become familiar with the manufacturer's instructions and follow them. Practice electrical safety by making sure cord insulation is intact. Turn off the power and unplug before adjusting or fixing a tool. Be especially careful of flammable liquids or liquid-soaked rags that could catch fire if ignited by a spark from the tools. Store power tools in their assigned locations. Silica is found on construction sites due to grinding, drilling, chipping, and cutting concrete, rock, and asphalt products. It's dangerous when inhaled and can lead to serious respiratory disease. To better protect workers exposed to respirable crystalline silica, OSHA has issued 2 new silica standards, one for construction and the other for general industry and maritime. OSHA's respirable crystalline silica standard for construction requires employers to limit worker exposures to silica and to take other steps to protect workers. Employers can either use the control methods laid out in Table 1 of the construction standard, or they can measure workers' exposure to silica and independently decide which dust controls work best to keep exposures beneath the permissible exposure limit in their workplaces. Regardless of which exposure control method is used, all construction employers covered by the standard are required to establish and implement a written exposure control plan. This plan identifies tasks that involve exposure and the methods used to protect workers, including procedures to restrict access to work areas where high exposures may occur. Designate a competent person to implement the written exposure control plan. Restrict housekeeping practices that expose workers to silica where feasible alternatives are available. Offer medical exams, including chest x-rays and lung function tests, every 3 years for workers who are required by the standard to wear a respirator for 30 or more days per year. Train workers on operations that result in silica exposure and ways to limit exposure. Keep records of exposure measurements, objective data, and medical exams. If you have questions or want more information, please contact Dick Anderson, Construction Safety Department. General site rules vary by job site. Please contact the site supervisor for rules at your location regarding parking, cell phone use, smoking, and tobacco use. On every job site, it's important for you to remember these things. Know where first aid supplies are located. In an emergency situation, stay clear of moving equipment and avoid crane swing radius areas. Follow emergency action plans. Ask your supervisor to inform you about emergency escape procedures and escape route assignments. Procedures for employees who remain behind to perform critical job site operations. Procedures to account for all employees after emergency evacuation. Preferred means of reporting and other emergencies. Types of evacuation to be used in emergency circumstances. Names and job titles of persons or departments who can be contacted for further information about the plan. For more information on general site rules and emergency procedures, reach out to your site supervisor. It is the policy of Dick Anderson Construction to hold every employee accountable for his or her safety performance, including subcontractors and supervisory personnel. Failure to perform our work in a safe manner may lead to disciplinary action that will be consistent, swift, and determined on a case-by-case basis. Like Kyle said in the beginning, we are serious about safety because we are serious about you coming home safe at the end of every day. We believe all injuries are preventable, and we are committed to a zero-injury workplace. We're proud to have an award-winning safety program and some of the lowest injury rates in the industry. With your commitment to safety, we can continue to make Dick Anderson Construction an incredible and safe place to work.